the time to step away and like reflect and take time out is almost a bigger driver to your success than the grind and the work that you put in. What I mean by that is like when I was younger, I could just grind and grind and grind. And I didn't understand how my productivity, my clarity around what I was trying to accomplish would diminish over time. But today, what I do personally and what I teach a lot of others to do is
Welcome to Fixers and Founders, where vision meets velocity. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
Today's guest, Corey Robinson, founder of Crossroads Operating Partners, a fractional COO firm helping early-stage companies get unstuck and scale on purpose. Before launching Crossroads, Corey spent years leading global EHS teams at John Deere and executing growth strategies in the franchise world. From safety systems to sales ops, Corey's built a reputation for making businesses run better, with less chaos and more clarity. Today, he's bringing that experience to founders, investors, and operators who know where they want to go, but need help building the machine that gets them there. If you're building systems, managing people, or scaling revenue, you're going to want to tune in. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
This is Fixers and Founders. Let's get it done.
You didn't start a business to put out fires, but here you are, holding the extinguisher. Business isn't theory, it's pressure, late nights, tight margins, the thing that keeps breaking no matter how many times you fix it. When the room's on fire, the amateurs shout, the pros stay calm. That's the Fixers and Founders way, part discipline, part rebellion. We walk into broken systems, find the pulse, and make it run clean. Because calm isn't weakness. Calm is a strategy. We're operators, builders, problem solvers, born from the grind, built for the builders. Join us now as we chat with fixers and founders just like you. Let's jump in.
Awesome intro as always, Tony. I appreciate you. Corey, you made the leap from a Fortune 100 career in EHS to coaching founders and operating small businesses. What pulled you into this kind of work?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Forrest. It was a long evolution. It wasn't necessarily jumping from a corporate career right into this. So it goes back to when I started investing in real estate. As I started to scale my real estate portfolio and my career was taking off, I had more disposable income. I was looking for better places to put my money. Real estate got tough to make good money at. And so I got this crazy idea from some colleagues and friends of mine to start buying businesses. And so that's really led me to where I'm at today. And so that journey of purchasing businesses became running businesses, which became, a huge headache, and the necessity for me to work myself out of that because I kind of filled my pipeline full of operating businesses that I could not operate myself. I needed to figure out like how do I back myself out of this and create a system that's sustainable that allows me to manage these different entities that I have up and going. And through that journey, everything that's come with it, the good and the bad, I learned how to work myself out of the job. That is kind of being the business owner. And as I did that and got rid of some of my assets and things started to slow down, I started to ask the question, like, is this something, that I can transition to help other business owners and other founders and CEOs do? And then I started to, do research and link up with others and realize like there's this huge movement around kind of the fractional operations person. That sounded like a perfect fit for me because it's something that I really enjoyed doing, and it didn't come with all of the headache and the weight of like owning and operating your own business. I can just focus on helping founders and owners like solve their problems.
Love the concept of working yourself out of a job. That is what I do with every one of my clients from the
Yeah, I
foundation.
love
Just
that.
work myself out of a job. So
Corey, great to have you here. World's biggest Slipknot fan. At Crossroads Operating Partners, you focus on systems that scale. What's the biggest operational blind spot you see most often in the businesses that you serve?
Oh, man, like I think there's a couple of them. The biggest one is usually the founder and the CEO doesn't want to give up control, and doesn't necessarily always see like the issues that they're creating, right? And to me, that's like one of the biggest parts. I think coming in as somebody that owns businesses and has been in that chair, like I have this unique opportunity to come in more on that partnership level and help them understand and see like how they're the bottleneck in the business. And there's lots of issues that need to be solved typically, but that's the one that like I really try to focus in on and remove right out of the gate, because my success is predicated on them kind of getting out of the way and allowing me to set up these systems and move the team how they needed to be moved. So that's kind of the key point or the key person that I have to win over and help understand how they're kind of creating a mess of their own business.
What are a couple tips that you can offer us, myself included, to how to best navigate those kinds of dicey relationships or conversations that you got to have?
I think it's one, like, I don't go into it as the person that knows better, the expert, right? I come in as where your business is today and where you want to go is not necessarily the same thing. And you have to do something different in order to get there. And you brought me in because I am that something different, right? Like you did a good job. Like I try to recognize and build off of what they've already done and accomplished and not push that to the side. And I try to integrate into that as much as possible and then kind of build and expand upon that. And I think through that, right, that appreciation of what they've already done, because it's hard to build a business. It's not an easy thing to do. I think I build rapport, right? And I build trust through those conversations and that work and understanding and appreciating their processes and their system and their people. It gives me a little bit more freedom and I think bandwidth to go and do some of the things that maybe some other people in positions that I am in don't get to do.
Awesome.
That's a good word. You've talked about bridging the gap between revenue and delivery. Why do those two so often break down, and how do you connect the dots?
Between revenue and delivery. Well, there's a couple of different things, right? So revenue is not all predicated on how we deliver whatever our goods or services are at, right? So some businesses can be really good at going out and driving revenue operations through their marketing, their advertising, their networking. And typically those are the kind of the founder CEO types that are really good at those things. But on the backside is the reality of like what's going to make a sustainable business, and that's operations, right? That's the client delivery or the delivery to the customer work that needs to be done. And I think that separating the two, like that's huge. Like you need somebody, the visionary, kind of helping push and drive that. And there are different personality types too, right? Like the analytical operations mindset is not the same as that visionary person who wants to go out and drive and network and talk and loves to engage and is super collaborative. So I think that how do you connect that dot? That dot is connected through systems, right? Like I think shared systems and shared rhythms are really important. And that's why things like the L10 and EOS kind of pair those together. You're allowed to kind of focus on the things that you're good at, but we're bring it all back together and connect and kind of move the business forward in a uniform manner, but everybody's kind of focused on what they're good at and what they should be driving rather than trying to have their hands in everything.
Yeah, have you worked with any founders that are not necessarily good at revenue, but good at delivery?
Um, no, typically it's, yeah. I mean, I've worked with some founders that are really good at revenue and are okay at delivery.
Okay. Yeah.
But I find that it's usually they're really good at going and hunting for revenue and, they're leaving it to somebody in operations just to kind of figure it out without kind of painting the picture, providing the vision or putting somebody in place that understands how to set up a system, right? I always tell them like anybody that has processes and systems in place, that's far better than somebody that's just winging it. The
Amen.
system doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to have something that's repeatable and somewhat transparent.
Yeah. It's one of the problems I see all
Talking
the
our
time is
language.
companies that are founders that try to make the systems absolutely perfect. And you just got to have something in place to get started to build a framework on.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, like, let's get
100%.
it 70 or 80% of the way there. And then we'll figure out how to refine it as we work it, right? You'll find the bugs and you'll iterate and it'll get better.
Was there one moment in particular, Corey, for you that made you realize you wanted to pivot from this corporate track to just building something of your own on this fractional side?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think being an entrepreneur, right? I struggle with the bureaucracy that is big corporate America. I learned how to fit into it, but I never derived, I think, the value out of it that I needed. Right. So in corporate America, you're just kind of, I won't say a cog in the wheel because you can drive some value and you can derive some meaning. And I think that's why like I worked in safety for so long because there was some level of like purpose and meaning behind what I was doing. It was more than just collecting a paycheck. But you run into all the things that big companies have, right? I mean, that make them big. And so I think the ability to like derive some purpose out of my work and use my skill set to help other people was really, I think, where like the dividing line came. Like it just became starkly clear that like this is much more purpose bound, and there's a lot more freedom tied to it, and a lot more say. Right, I'm kind of in control of my own destiny, and I think all of those things just resonated much more with me than kind of the corporate track.
I could not have said it better myself or agree more with you.
So, what did you do to get yourself mentally prepared to make that switch? Because obviously, the person I was meeting with earlier today is in the middle of trying to figure out that switch of switching from corporate America into being their own boss and driving their own, blazing their own trail.
Yeah. Oh man, it was a long journey, right? So I mean, I have been in and out of corporate America a couple of times. So this like pivot now is really not the first go around. I think it was a long journey of letting go of my old identity because like I worked really hard to get to the level that I was at. And most of us, and I say the vast majority of us that have normal lives and normal jobs, our identity is closely tied to what we do. But becoming an entrepreneur, like I learned like through years to kind of uncouple that from like my outcome financially is not necessarily tied to my labor and to my time or to who I am, right? It's just derived to the decisions that I make. And I think over the course of time, like, and becoming part of groups that are in this space, I think talking like if somebody's coming new into this and talking to people like us that are doing it, that have stepped out and like you start to understand like what the mindset is, what you have to do, how to get comfortable with it, how to be okay with taking the risk, how to set up your finances. Um, and all of those things, I think, help people make those decisions. I don't know that there's any like one trick or one thing that it would resonate with everybody when they decide to make that jump. I think it's a very personal decision. It's very much tied to who you are. And it's very much tied to what you want to do. And the beauty, I think, about what we do too is you can kind of step out there if you want to hustle and grind and work, you can kind of step out and start doing what we do while still having a job. It's hard to brand and do all that stuff while you have a job, but at the end of the day,
Right.
if you know that's the road that you're going to go down and you want to de-risk the situation a little bit, you can join firms. There's a lot of different things that you can do and de-risk making the jump.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that I think could take advantage of this that need to get out of their own way, so to
Yeah.
speak. You know. You've worked with franchisees, founders, investors. What's a lesson that applies no matter what kind of operator you're supporting?
The beauty about operating on like OS is that what I find is their operating rhythms, no matter what they do, where they are, no matter the amount of tools that they have, how they systematically come at the business week over week, month over month, it can be systematized and can be the same. Right. And so when we talk about like one of the key things that I do, EOS teaches you to do a lot of different things. A lot of the operating models teach you to do a lot of different things. But for me, what I have found that really works and gets us up and going and starts building a relationship and creates kind of that problem solving muscle, starting the L10s with the team. Right. And I think that getting the founders in that chair and understanding like, hey, we're talking about the same thing every week. We're problem solving in a systematic manner. So we're prioritizing and we're going after things and we are actually getting them done. Maybe we're not getting 100 things done, but we're getting 3 or 4 things done every week. And those are coming off of our list. They start to see that like it actually works. So they get to see that kind of in motion. And I think for me that resonates with all founders, regardless of what industry they're in or what they do. They need some rhythm to how they're going to operate their business. And I think an L10 just gives us that. It's that one easy tool that we can set up that we need to meet and talk anyways, but it's very systematic in the way that we come at it. And I think the light bulb goes off for a lot of them just seeing us run those meetings and like hold the team accountable and actually get something accomplished week over week. We're not talking about some damn spreadsheet or some finance problem again the following week. It's actually off our plate. We solved it and we're moving on to the next thing.
That's great. Hey, Corey, what's one strategy or mindset that you've seen applied that helps people from not burning out in business?
Yeah. Um, the the time to step away and like reflect and take time out is almost a bigger driver to your success than the grind and the work that you put in. And I think what I mean by that is like when I was younger, I could just grind and grind and grind. And I didn't understand how my productivity, my clarity around what I was trying to accomplish would diminish over time. But today, what I do personally and what I teach a lot of others to do is to really to block that time out and take that time out and step away from work, because a lot of things happen when you can put it down and forget about it for a few minutes. And it's funny because it's like I'll be out mowing the lawn on a Friday or whatever, just kind of stepping away from everything that's going on. And I'll do it in the middle of the day sometimes. And I get really clear, like, oh crap, I have this idea to solve this problem that I never would have had if I stayed just focused on trying to accomplish whatever goal was in front of me. And so I think one of the things that people need to do a better job of to ensure that they don't burn out and to, I think, support their business in a better manner is schedule that time away and actually block that time out and step away from the business and step away from the work that needs to be done.
That's great. Reminds me of those clarity breaks Forrest talks about. And
Yes.
I love the fact that you get your ideas when you mow the lawn. Same thing happens to me. And then I stop mid mow and I got to email myself that idea though when they're really good for later.
It's funny. I was meeting with a group of 7 integrators today. We have a support group where we cry about visionaries and how mean they are to us. And one of the things we were talking about was the value of the clarity break and how important that is. And I was the only integrator in the room that was taking clarity breaks, and I was like, "Y'all, this is your to do for next week. You need to do it." So, um, good word. So we got a couple wild card questions. What's a moment that seemed small at the time but ended up changing everything for you?
Yeah, I suppose I'll be a little vulnerable, and I've told this story on a couple of podcasts, and a lot of my I guess network probably knows it, but um, a couple of years ago, I was still in corporate America. I bought a couple of business. I was running my real estate business. I had all of these different things going on, and my wife kind of pulled me aside. We were in Cabo with all of our friends on this fantastic vacation, and we're at dinner, and we were kind of going around talking about how things were going, like how life was going. And my wife put me on the spot and was like, "Well, it's not going nearly as well as you think it is." I was crushing it, like, financially. Um, but I didn't realize in that moment, like it kind of clicked for me, like, yes, I'm doing really well. I'm really successful in many of these areas of my life. But that moment when she said that, like it took me back into a long point of reflection, right? And I didn't realize kind of the outcomes of that, how that would change my priorities today, a couple of years, fast forward, how that would set my priorities and change my priorities for the future. And so that moment of having my wife hold me accountable, letting me know that I wasn't showing up the way that I was supposed to, um, was a big pivot moment for me and helped me kind of reprioritize. I still work a lot. I still do all these crazy things. But I try to make sure that I don't lose sight of what I'm doing it all for.
That's a good one.
So other than mowing your lawn, listening to Slipknot, what do you do that helps keep your head clear and your energy up in this business?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of key things that I do to keep my energy up. I want to work with people that bring great energy. I don't mind debating. I don't mind having difficult conversations, but I want to work with founders that are passionate, that want to drive forward, that help me elevate my game as well. And so I think that's one of the ways that I keep my energy up, like surrounding myself with people that are high energy, that are high performers, that want the best out of life is probably that number one thing. And then like, how do I keep, I guess, everything else going, right? It's ensuring that I check out like I'm supposed to. We love to travel. And so taking time away from work and focus on my family and focus on some of my hobbies, I think are the other ways that I kind of keep things moving forward on a personal, note.
What has been your favorite place to have traveled so far?
We've been all over the world. I would say my favorite city that I've been in so far is Cape Town, South Africa. We spent a week there and all over the place, and we just fell in love with it. It's a beautiful city. There's tons to do. Weather's fantastic. Beach, the mountains, the wine country on the backside of it. Like, it's just a fantastic place.
Awesome. Good stuff.
All right. Well, this was Corey Robinson, a reminder that systems aren't about red tape, they're about freedom. From EHS boardrooms to EOS playbooks, Corey's work shows how clear accountability and simple structures unlock massive momentum. If you're building the ops to match your ambition, rewind this one. I'm Forrest,
I'm Tony.
and this is Fixers and Founders.
Oh, my darlings, look at you. Still here with me till the end. That's how I know you're one of us. The fixers, the founders, the ones who build in the chaos and still manage to laugh through it. Drop a comment, share your sparks, and connect with each other. This is where the net weaving begins. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the fire blowing. Until next time.